You got to remember the furnace is not an open system, it's a closed vessel. So it's pressurized. The air is coming in under pressure, and so the Tuyere is the nozzle that injects that air into the furnace itself. Beckley had 3 for a while, and it had 5 for a while. And the way the 5 worked, there was 2 on opposing sides, and then the rear had 1. So you had 5 nozzles injecting air. The pressure that we have notes on, it was modest. It was maybe 1.5 psi, 2 psi at most. It was a modest pressure, but it's still enough pressure. And if you do the calculation of the area of the Bosch, if you're maintaining that 2 psi in there over the diameter of that Bosch, that's a considerable amount of upward force. And then the stack is tapered, so the velocity of the flue gas is going to change as you go up that flue. The velocity of the gas is going to rise. All of that stuff mattered as to how the furnace operated, and the evidence is they had a heck of a time getting it right. They're made out of cast iron typically, which brings an immediate problem since they are at the bottom of the furnace where the fire is the hottest. They are bringing in lots of fresh oxygen, and you've got enough heat to melt iron by definition, since adjacent to the Tuyere and probably a matter of inches away from it is a puddle of molten iron. So one obvious problem is the longevity of the Tuyere. What they ended up doing is they water cooled the Tuyeres. We've also got a problem with abrasion because we've got air coming in under pressure, and we've undoubtedly got a swirling cloud of fire. It's the harshest imaginable location for something made out of iron, but they made it work. Every now and then some rock that didn't melt is going to split out and come sailing down through there, and it's going to splash stuff onto the Tuyeres. So it's possible that one or more of the Tuyeres could become occluded, and that's going to start ruining the blast action that you've got going on. These guys, they were artisans. They were really tuned into this machine, this furnace. They could sense the heat of it. They heard it. They listened to it. They smelled it. They used every sense human beings have to manage that thing. So my best guess is that they could hear a problem with the aspiration of the furnace. And then they try to localize that, and now you have the problem of how do I clean out a Tuyere where it's inside this thing at 3,000 degrees with a raging fire? We have estimates at the beginning of the hot blast back in 1847, the air was 400 to 500 degrees, say 450. Wallace insists that later on, 1910, 1912, the blast air was 850. So they had to have some way to stop the blast and let the pressure drop in the furnace, open up that Tuyere and knock out the obstruction. And so there had to be some way of opening that thing up, cleaning it and closing it up. And we have no examples of how they did that. The only thing we have observed is any time a furnace went out of production, 2 things disappeared from the furnace site. One was the heat exchanger for the hot blast. Somebody would come for that, and they came for the Tuyeres. So whatever that mechanism was, it was valuable, which means it wasn't trivially simple. But yet I'm just hoping somewhere, someplace in the Salisbury district, we're going to dig one up. We didn't at Beckley.